Hey, what do you say, weekend warriors? Today we're gonna smoke a brisket. I'm gonna do it in my offset smoker. I'm gonna show you how I start this thing up and kind of my whole process. It's a really easy way to do a brisket. Let's get over to the Firebox. I'll show you what we're doing. This is the Firebox for my offset smoker. As an option, I chose to get the fire basket. And what this does is keeps all the coals in the middle of the box instead of them spreading out. And that's really beneficial for keeping a nice clean fire going. What I have here is some lump charcoal spread out, a couple of tumbleweed fire starters. And so we're gonna get the charcoal lit while I'm trimming the brisket. And I've got the coals kind of spread out pretty even here. You want a coal bed underneath as much of the log as possible. And I'm using 16-inch long splits today. You'll see that in a little bit. But for now, we're just gonna get the charcoal lit. I'll put the wood in momentarily, and we're gonna go over and get this brisket trimmed. It's about 9.5 pounds. You can get these if you go to your butcher. There's not a whole lot of trimming you have to do on this, as you'll see. So this is a great one to start out with if you're not sure about how to trim them up. So let me get it out of the bag, and then I will smoke this fat cap down today. But you could also smoke it fat cap up if that's the way you like to do that. The fat on the bottom, with my heat source being underneath, keeps it from drying out. So what I'm gonna do is clean up any of this fat that's hanging off. I'm gonna take off about a 1/2 inch off the edge, and I'm using a sharp boning knife that was about $12 on Amazon. And I'm just gonna get off any of the kind of oxidized meat that's around the edges. We're gonna do that on both sides. And as I do the end, I'm gonna make a little round corner just to help shape it. But you don't have to do that if you don't want. It's your house, your rules. And we'll round off this edge just a little more, make it a little more aerodynamic. And then same thing here, just clean up the outside a little bit. Not much. All right, so now we're dealing with the fat cap. It's pretty much good. I don't want to take too much off here. I'm just going to take a very thin layer off the top, just kind of the gross stuff where the juice was. I'm going to leave most of it on here. All right, that's all you really need to do on that side. On this side, we're going to clean up as much of this as we can, so the silver skin and fat, you can kind of get underneath it and just run your knife. So I'll get all this cleaned up, including this flap. I'll go ahead and cut that off. And then once I have it cleaned up pretty good, I'm gonna hit it with some black pepper to start. This is not a Central Texas style brisket. I've done plenty of those videos. This is just kind of a backyard style. And then I'm gonna go with a layer of Meat Church Holy Gospel. I like this. It's got good seasonings, but it also has some sugar in there, which goes good on brisket. So get the top, get the sides, same thing. Nice layer of black pepper. Follow it up with a barbecue rub that you like. All right, now that that's ready, let me put some wood in the Firebox. I'll show you that. And then we're putting this right in the smoker and we're gonna get it cooking. And the charcoal is lit, which is good. Just gonna spread it out a little bit. Just so my splits can sit evenly. And then I'm gonna put in 2 big splits of oak. And I'll try to keep them about 1 inch to 1.5 inches apart. What'll happen is they'll catch on fire, the flame will kind of bounce off one another and get that ignited pretty quick. So I'm going to close the door, open the damper all the way up. Go ahead and throw in my brisket now. I'm not going to wait until this warms up. I want the brisket to come up slowly, and I want it to take on some of this heavy smoke during the initial startup. I'm going to go fat cap down. And this might be something you want to try if you have a pellet smoker. This is when I started doing that. Pellet smokers don't really produce a strong smoke flavor, so a lot of times people will use a pellet tube or something like that to get more smoke. So I was putting my brisket in before I even turned the pellet smoker on, and it got that nice big initial, couple minutes of smoke, which I think helped out a lot. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to close this up. I'm going to cook at about 275 degrees Fahrenheit today, maybe even up to 300, just anywhere in that range. This is going to be an overnight cook, and so we're going to let it take as long as it needs to get done. We'll come back in a couple hours, maybe 2-3 hours. I'll show you how it's looking, and if we need to do anything, I'll be sure to show you. Can't wait. And I'm 1 hour into this cook. Temperature has dropped to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm going to show you what I have to do to get it back in the range. Let's do it. And I'll do the best I can to not block the view. So you'll see here, these are the 2 splits that I put in 1 hour ago. So that's kind of the burn rate of this smoker. 2 16-inch splits, especially the first hour. But now what I'm going to do is take it and just gently break it up. Now I've got a real nice coal bed. And then up top I have a giant piece of oak. This is probably 30% bigger than the split you saw me put on before. And I just have it kind of preheating on top of my smoker. You don't have to do this, but if you think about it, if you have a pot of boiling water and you dump some pasta in it, immediately that water cools down, right? It stops boiling for a little bit. Then it comes back up. Same thing will happen with a cold piece of wood. Outside temperatures right now, it's probably 20 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's why I'm doing it. And I'm going to put this in right here, and I'm just going to go with 1 right now. We'll see how this does temperature wise. I have the tall end in the center to keep those flames centered in the box, and I'm going to close it before it gets too hot. And I'm actually going to close this a little bit, maybe about keep it 3/4 open. Right now there's a ton of cold air being sucked in, and I'm going to try and slow that down a little bit just until those flames slow down. So that's it. I do this every 30 minutes to an hour, just depending on how the temperature is. The key is just to maintain a nice coal bed. That way anytime you put a split of wood on, it goes right up and it's not smoldering too much. So that's how I run this. We'll be back in 2 hours to see how that brisket looks. And it's been exactly 3 hours. Let's slide this out for you so you can get a look. Beautiful. We're starting to build up a nice crust. It's dried out, but I'm not worried about that. This is eventually going to start to sweat, and it'll moisturize itself and start to get real nice on top. But this is what I want. A nice crust at this point all around. I'll lift it up, and the bottom is looking good. That fat cap is doing its job protecting the meat underneath. So I'm going to put this down, and we're going to put this back in and let it go for a couple more hours for this cook. But for now, we're going to get it back in before I lose too much heat, and we'll be back in a little bit. And here we are, about 8.5 hours into this cook. It's very late. I don't want to be too loud out of respect for my neighbors. But here's how it looks. Nice dark color. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to wrap this in foil, and then I'm going to throw it right in my oven in the kitchen overnight. I'm going to set it to 170 degrees Fahrenheit, and it can sit in that foil overnight while I sleep. And I'm going to get up in the morning, and we'll go from there. But that's kind of the game plan. Brought it up to about 190, 195 degrees Fahrenheit. It'll sit in the oven at 170 overnight, so we'll find out in the morning. And here we are, 8 hours later. This rested overnight while I slept at 170 degrees Fahrenheit. And now I'm going to open it up, show you what's going on here. And look at that. That looks really, really good. Smells really good. There's a couple things you can do from here. The bark is soft, so if you like it crunchy, you could throw it back in the oven just like this for about 10-15 minutes. It'll dry out a little bit. Or you can do what I'm going to do. I've got some homemade barbecue sauce, and I'm just doing a very thin coat on the outside, and I'm going to brush it on, and then I'm going to put this in the oven for about 10 minutes just to set the sauce. And there we go. This guy is ready to slice. Let's see if our hard work paid off. And I'll show you a piece here from the center. Woo! Look at that. Incredible smoke ring. Fat, perfectly rendered. Pulls apart with ease. Let me get a taste test. This turned out amazing. Give it a shot. Pretty simple and big time flavor.